WNIS and Glenn Youngkin is going to be joining us in just a few seconds here. Short bio, you can look him up. It's Youngkin. He's a businessman, a very successful businessman. He spent 25 years at the private equity firm, the Carlyle Group, including as president and chief operating officer, and he was a co-CEO from January 2018 through September 2020. He stepped down from the firm in 2020, stating his intention to focus on community and public service efforts, and he formed a nonprofit in mid-2020 to assist unemployed Virginia residents affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. More on that coming up later. And in January of this year, he announced his candidacy in the 2021 Virginia gubernatorial election. He was born in Richmond. When he was a teen, the family moved from Richmond to Virginia Beach. Smart move there, huh? And with the benefit of financial aid, he attended Norfolk Academy in Norfolk, Virginia, graduating in 1985. You knew it was in Virginia, huh? He attended Rice University in Houston, Texas, with the aid of a basketball scholarship, and he graduated with a B.S. in mechanical engineering and a B.A. in managerial studies in 1990, and he earned an M.B.A. from Harvard Business School in 1994. Not too shabby, and we welcome to the WNIS microphone Mr. Glenn Youngkin. Good morning, sir. How are you today?
I'm great, Tony. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for that very kind introduction. My mother would be very proud, so thank you.
Well, it's factual. You did all those things. You deserve to have a good intro. Let me ask you, in this age, I think whenever I think of people campaigning, Mr. Youngkin, I always think of them, kissing babies and shaking hands. I guess there ain't that much shaking hands and babies. How has that changed? How are you getting together? How are you getting, events where you can talk to a whole bunch of people? How are you handling this?
Well, we are moving all across the Commonwealth and meeting people. We're doing it safely. We're doing it in smaller groups. We're doing it spread out. We're wearing masks where we're supposed to. There's a lot of meals being served and having a chance to actually discuss things over the kitchen table, if you will. And that's been an amazing effort. We're doing lots of Zoom calls, and we're doing everything we can over the telephone as well. So it is an all-out effort to listen to Virginians all over this great Commonwealth. And I have to tell you, over the course of the last just about 2 months since we've launched and been running, I've been overwhelmed with support. And our campaign is absolutely moving from no one knowing who Glenn is to out in front. Just recently in an article, we were called the front runner, and then the article went on to pick on me. So I knew I was the front runner. And that's been really exciting. As I think Virginians are so excited to have an outsider, to have someone who hasn't been chasing these jobs forever, but is bringing a whole fresh perspective, a business perspective on how to get things done. And people are recognizing that's what Virginia needs. We need results, we need leadership, and we need to put Virginia back where she belongs as the best state in America to live and work and raise a family.
Glenn Youngkin is here today. You are welcome to call in. Email TONY@WNIS.com. Call me at 627-7979, 627-7979. Mr. Youngkin, the last I checked, it was going to be a convention. They were talking about having it at Liberty University, and they're going to have a drive-through. And one of my listeners wrote in, I think you'll get a kick out of this. He said if they have a drive-through, you're going to end up with the nominee is going to be Ronald McDonald. How are they doing it now? How are they going to pick the candidate? How are they going to do it?
Well, what's happened over the course of the last couple of weeks is that the State Central Committee for the Republican Party of Virginia decided that we're not going to meet in Lynchburg, but in fact we're going to have 37 polling locations across the Commonwealth where Republicans who register as delegates, and Tony, I'll get back to that in a minute,
okay,
will be able to participate on May the 8th. It will be a drive-up, fill out your ballot and drop it off circumstance, so you don't have to stay all day. You just have to participate. But you do have to sign up as a delegate. And in fact, in Hampton, the deadline to sign up as a delegate is tonight at 7 p.m. Okay. And so anybody who lives in Hampton who wants to participate in the Republican nomination process, Republicans in Hampton, please sign up to be a delegate tonight. You can go to the Youngkin for Governor website. We actually have the whole process laid out. We'll actually have a team member call you if you need help to get registered. But this is really important for Republicans across the Commonwealth to participate in as large a numbers as possible so that we, in fact, can express our view on who that candidate should be. And I will tell you, Tony, the job of the convention is to, in fact, select the candidate who's going to win in November. Right. And, Tony, I think that's me. I I've got a conservative set of principles and policies. I'm a successful business leader who knows how to create jobs and build business like none other in this race on either side of the ticket. I'm a man of faith, and I'm a Republican who can win, and that's the job of the convention, is to, in fact, select that candidate who not only is a strong conservative Republican who can get Virginia moving again, but also can take on Terry McAuliffe or whoever else they send us and win. And I'm that candidate. I believe that our campaign will be run like no other campaign has ever been run for a Republican candidate. We're going to have the resources, the drive, the volunteers in order to bring Virginia back red. And we're also, Tony, going to bring along lots of other Republicans with us. My wife and I launched something called Virginia Wins 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And that's an effort to support candidates on all the local races as well, sheriff races, Commonwealth attorney races, city council races, delegate races. And when I win in November, it's not going to be a lonely victory. We're going to bring a whole crop of Republicans into these most important seats so that, in fact, we can demonstrate that the Republican Party has come together like never before and made a stand against what's happened in Virginia over the last 8 years, which is Democrat leadership actually putting our great Commonwealth in the ditch. And we're going to get her out of the ditch and put her back where she belongs as the best state in America to live and work and raise a family.
All things considered, Glenn Youngkin, do you think that it would have been more advantageous for you, a primary, rather than the way they're doing it now?
Well, I actually am very happy with this unassembled convention. I think it works very well for me. One of the key characteristics of this convention is it's going to be a rank-ordered vote. And so you'll participate on May the 8th, and you'll have a chance to fill out your ballot. This person 1, that person 2, this person 3. We've got incredibly strong support with people filing to be delegates who want Glenn Youngkin to be the candidate. And so I think we'll do very well and win this convention. And I think we'll also then bring together the most dedicated Republicans across the Commonwealth to lock arms and then go work to win the governor's seat, to have Glenn Youngkin win the governor's seat, but also win the lieutenant governor's seat and the attorney general seat, 6 new delegates at least to take back our House of Delegates and actually make a real statement that Virginia has shared values that actually represent supporting a Republican governor, but lots of other seats as well. So I'm happy with this format, and I think we will win it and move on to win in November.
Now, Glenn Youngkin, I was looking at your resume. You're an incredibly successful businessman, so I know, Glenn, that you got this down to the penny. How much money does it take to get elected governor of Virginia?
Well, I will tell you, I think this will be the most expensive, with the most resources, gubernatorial election in Virginia's history. Last time around, Ed Gillespie raised about $35 million, and Northam raised a little over 40. And I think we'll be well in excess of that this time around, And that's why I think having a broad national capability in order to fund this campaign, a incredibly supportive capability across the Commonwealth. And yes, I've had more good days than bad days. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I actually worked my tail off. And I think I'm kind of the American dream, and I want Virginia's parents to actually know that their children can have the same opportunities across this Commonwealth. But we're going to bring the resources necessary to bear in order to compete heads up with what has historically been the Democrats raising much more money than the Republicans. But we're going to resource this campaign as it needs to be resourced. We've got a broad base of support across the country and across the Commonwealth. And that's going to be an incredibly important statement to make as we move to win in November.
He wants to be your governor, Virginia. It's Mr. Glenn Youngkin. As soon as I get the phone calls, I'll go right to them because I don't want you to be waiting forever. So we're going to welcome Tim from Virginia Beach. Tim, you're on with Glenn Youngkin. Go ahead, Tim.
Thank you, Tony. Good morning, sir. I have 2 questions. The first one is I've been hearing during the afternoons on this station advertisements from one of your primary opponents accusing you of garnering Chinese money that somehow indirectly helps or did help Hillary Clinton. I wanted to know your reaction to that.
Let him answer that one, and then we'll get to your second question. Let him react to that. Go ahead, Mr. Youngkins.
Good. First of all, Tim, thank you for dialing in, and way to go, Virginia Beach. It's where I went to middle school and into high school and lived there, and so I just so appreciate you being there. By the way, Virginia Beach, if you ever were at the Belvedere Hotel in that coffee shop, I was that tall, skinny kid working behind the bar, taking out trash and washing dishes. And that was one of the most important moments in my life, because when I was 15, I learned how to work really, really hard, and it never left me. And by the way, there's amazing dignity in work, and I just reflect on that time in my life, and it really left
I've forgotten what the question was now.
No, I'll come back. I'll come back. Great sense of purpose for me. So way to go, Virginia Beach. So with regards to China, let me just be really direct. The firm I ran, the Carlyle Group, did do business in China. It was a small amount of what we did, but we did do business in China because Carlyle was so big. And I just want to put in context, when I left Carlyle, we managed $230 billion of assets. That's about 4 times the annual budget in Virginia. And so if anybody's prepared to actually lead and manage and serve that big government, I am. Nobody else has that kind of experience to me. But Carlyle did do business in China, and I was good at it. I took on the Chinese, and I won. And I think that's really important to understand is that we need to know that communist China has a 100-year plan to take over the world. And that is against the United States, and that undermines the United States. And if you don't understand how the Chinese are doing this, you have no way to combat it. And I know how they do it. And as I said, I've won to the point where President Trump, when he announced the U.S.-China trade deal, where we held the line and were tough against China, he thanked me personally. He said, I want to thank Glenn Youngkin of the Carlyle Group, a great group. And that was a proud day for me, not because of anything that personally was with me, but because we supported and helped the president stay strong against China and to cut a tougher deal so that we could actually protect American workers. We could protect American jobs and American companies. I think that's what Virginia deserves, is actually a governor who understands how to really fight for Virginia to help build an economy, to create that rip-roaring economy and that amazing job machine. And I don't have any competitor in this race, nobody who has near the experience I have in taking on these kinds of tough issues. I say, I understand the art of the deal better than anybody. And I think that's what Virginia deserves. I said recently, I think Virginia deserves the varsity, not the JV, and I think I'm the varsity on this front.
What do you think, Tim? Go ahead, Tim.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your answer. The second question I had was, I'm very concerned about this House Resolution 1, H.R. 1, that is going to the Senate, and I'm certainly hoping it is somehow defeated. That said, I'm a bit ignorant on it. How, if at all, will it affect the gubernatorial race come November? Will that become a federalized election as well?
Tim, this is an incredibly important issue. And let me just start with the fact that election integrity is such a nonpartisan topic. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democrat issue. It's a democracy issue. And what's happened over the course of the last 10 years is both parties have been complaining. Let's not forget that Hillary Clinton complained that the election was stolen from her in 2016. And so to actually address this, we launched our Election Integrity Task Force really right at the beginning of the launch of our campaign. And our Election Integrity Task Force actually had 5 common sense things that the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, is going to do when I'm elected governor. We're going to make the Department of Elections independent and transparent. We're going to make sure that the voter rolls are updated every month so that if you've unfortunately and sadly died or moved away, you're moved off the voter roll. We're going to make sure that you have to have a real ID, a real state-issued ID to vote. That, in fact, if you want a mail-in ballot, you have to prove you're a citizen, and then the signatures have to match, and you actually have to have an observer confirm that's you. And finally, when we count our ballots, we have to make sure that the observers and poll watchers are that certify that they're really able to do their jobs. And on top of that, that the voting machines are tested before and audited after. Common sense things that can actually restore faith in our election process and the outcomes. What's happening in Washington right now is actually, in my view, a real violation of the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment actually reminds us all that there are certain things that the federal government is supposed to do, and then everything else is up to the states. And election process is supposed to be left to the states. And this is why Virginia, when I'm governor, is going to absolutely focus on reestablishing the integrity of our election process. And so this is a really important topic. And Tim, I appreciate you asking it. And when I'm governor, I'm going to get this sorted out. Between here and there, we're going to have to work hard as Republicans. We're going to have to volunteer in order to make sure we have all of our observer positions and poll watching positions staffed fully in November. And I just appreciate Republicans across this great Commonwealth all coming together and actually volunteering in order to staff what's going to be a 45-day election period. We're going to need all of you. We're going to need everyone present and making sure that the votes are counted accurately. So, Tim, thank you for that great question.
Thank you, Tim, for checking in today. Let's go over to Gloucester right now with another question for Glenn Youngkin. And this time, it's Jeff from Gloucester. Hey, Jeff, I'm glad you called to talk to Glenn. Go ahead.
Hey, Glenn, could you touch on the first guy's question of whether y'all did support Hillary Clinton's campaign or not?
Yes, thank you very much. The short answer is I've never supported Hillary Clinton, and I've never supported the Clinton Foundation. While I was at Carlisle for 25 years, Carlisle sponsored conferences, and Carlisle invited speakers from all different all walks of life. Some of them were Democrats. Many of them were Republicans. And that was just speakers who showed up to speak at various functions. This was not a decision that I made. And as a result, to suggest that I have supported Hillary Clinton or I've supported the Clinton Foundation is flat wrong. Yes. My wife and I have been very involved supporting Republican candidates for a long time. We've been working with a group to be difference makers with Republican candidates in order to hold our Senate or hold our House or support federal election process. This has been really important to us. But the rest of our charitable giving has predominantly been to Christian causes around the world, across this great country, and across the great Commonwealth. And so to suggest that we actually supported the Clintons or liberal causes really is just flat not true. And it's like the prosecutors for the Trump impeachment process. They're taking smidgens of things and they're conflating them and turning them into lies. And this is the reason why I decided to run for governor, because people hate this in politics, and I hate it too. And so that's actually the facts. I am a conservative. I'm a man of faith. I'm a successful business leader. I'm a Republican. I'm a Republican who can win. And this is why one of my competitors is, in fact, doing this in order to, in fact, try to undermine the fact that we are winning. We're going to win in the convention on May 8th, and we can move on and win in November. That's exactly what we're going to do. And I cannot wait to go to work for all of you as your governor.
Now, Jeff, you had some more, and what is it?
Yes, sir. Second Amendment question, shall not be infringed. And what do those words mean to you? And from my opinion of the Virginia laws, which things will you roll back the gun laws that should not be because they are infringing on our rights?
All right. Mm-hmm.
Jeff, thank you for that most important question. Over the course of the last few years, particularly where we have seen a Democrat House of Delegates and a Democrat-led Senate, and of course a Democrat governor, so many, except all of our great Bill of Rights and Constitution, have been infringed upon. The First Amendment, our freedom of religion, our freedom to express ourselves. Goodness gracious, to be a college student today, you're afraid to talk about your faith in God or your conservative values. But our Second Amendment has absolutely been under assault in both Richmond and Washington. Tim, I'm a gun owner. I love to hunt and shoot with my sons, but I also keep a gun in my house for my family's protection. We have the absolute right to keep and bear arms, and we absolutely have to stand up against the infringement, which is unconstitutional of our Second Amendment right. What we have to do, Tim, is we need to win back our House of Delegates so that we can go on offense. As governor, I will veto any bill that infringes on our Second Amendment rights. But we need to actually win back our House of Delegates so that we can, in fact, move forward. And finally, Tim, I just want to add that I am pro-life, and I will stand up for the unborn. I will stand up for the unborn because if we don't, then I don't know who will. And so these are really important topics. And these are important topics that, as your governor, I will stand strong. Tim, I'm 6'6", 230 pounds. And when I stand up strong, everybody knows it. And I just look forward to going to work for you as your governor and bringing a whole crop of Republican leaders into the positions that we need in order to make sure that we're moving forward. So thank you for that great question.
Glenn Youngkin is here today. He wants to be your governor of Virginia. He wants to get the nod from the Republican Party. Lots of great calls, lots of great questions. Wallace, Ron, Rick, I'll get to you. But as you know, we're a commercial station.
Tony, this is a most important question, which is why have Republicans been losing straight for 11 years? And my approach to that is that we keep sending the same kinds of candidates, people that want the job so bad that they actually are willing to do anything to get it, that, in fact, they have been trying to get it and lost. And, oh, by the way, I just believe when people have time after time run for office, lieutenant governor, and chaired campaigns, and the campaigns keep losing, I think there's just a real recognition that that's the wrong strategy. So we need a different kind of candidate. And one of the things that Bob McDonnell taught us was, first, we actually have to focus on issues that are most important to Virginians. In this case, it's the economy, it's job creation, it's protecting our constitutional rights, and it's getting Virginia working so that, in fact, it works for Virginia as opposed to telling them what to do. I mean, let's be clear. We know that DMVs are a disaster. We know that the Virginia Employment Commission can't process unemployment claims nearly like they should. We're in the bottom 10 states. And remember, we had 1.5 million Virginians file for first-time unemployment claims when our governor actually unnecessarily shut our economy for so long and keeps it shut today. And we finally know that we have to actually find those shared values that pull together Virginians all over the Commonwealth. And one of the things that the Republican Party has just missed completely is that there are conservative Republicans in Northern Virginia, and we have failed to reach them. Bob McDonnell did. He did a great job in Northern Virginia. He did a great job in Virginia Beach. He did a great job in Chesterfield County and Henrico County. And the Republican Party has just forgotten how to actually go out and listen to people and pull people together and recognize that the shared values across the Commonwealth are conservative. And then finally, we're actually going to get out and register people this year. We're going to register Republicans to vote because we know the Democrats are doing this. And we got to wake up and recognize we got to compete. We got to compete in order to win. And that's why my campaign is going to be so different and is so different than any other campaign that's ever been run in the Commonwealth of Virginia by a Republican. As I said earlier, we're going to have the resources in order to compete head-to-head. We're going to actually go door-to-door. We're going to register people. We're going to convince them to vote for Glenn Youngkin as the Republican governor of Virginia, and we are going to win this thing. But it's going to require a real recognition that what Republican Party has been doing for the last 11 years has not been a winning formula. Let's bring a different playbook. Let's actually have a different kind of candidate, an outsider, a real outsider, not a pretending outsider, but a real outsider, somebody who actually knows how to deliver for Virginians. And that's why I'm running. That's why I quit my job last summer. I stood up on a Friday and I said, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go serve Virginia. And this is the kind of commitment I think that Virginians deserve. And that's what I'm going to bring to the governor's office when Virginia elects me as the next governor of Virginia.
8:37 at AM 790 WNIS. We welcome Wallace to the conversation. Wallace, you're on with Glenn Youngkin. Go ahead, Wallace.
Yes, thank you for having me on this morning, Tony. I was going to ask you one question, but since listening to you, I'm going to ask you another question. You pretty much said why the Republicans haven't won since Bob McDonnell. But I think the problem is, and everybody recognizes this, and you touched on it, is Northern Virginia. There's so many Democrats up there, and from Rappahannock River up, that the rest of the state, the Republicans can't compete with that. So how do you go about counterbalancing that? You've got to go do what they did 15 years ago. The Republican Party went into evangelical churches, and they flushed them out and registered thousands of people in the rural areas of Virginia. And that's what they need to do today, but nobody wants to do anything. The Republicans do not want to. They do not want to work hard. Democrats do, and Northern Virginia beats us every time.
All right, thank you very much, Wallace. What do you think about that, Glenn Youngkin?
Wallace, thank you for that great comment, because guess what? We're going to do all of the above. All of the above. First thing we're going to do is we're going to win back a meaningful portion of Northern Virginia. I think setting a goal to win Northern Virginia is a pretty high hill to climb. But right now, Northern Virginia has been about a 70-30 Democrat-Republican vote, which is unbelievable. And we're going to get her back to at least 60-40. And that's because there are many people in Northern Virginia with shared values, Republican, conservative shared values, and the Republican Party has done a terrible job of speaking to these people and getting them engaged. We're going to do the same thing in Virginia Beach. We're going to do the same thing in suburban Richmond. But Wallace, you're 100% right that we absolutely have to reach into the cornerstone of the Republican Party across this great Commonwealth, and we have to register people to vote. We have to get them out. Wallace, I am a man of faith. I'm a Christian. And I believe that we can speak to folks across this Commonwealth and get them to participate like never before. But Wallace, we have to do all of the above. It's not just a single strategy. It's all of them. I learned in business that when you set your objective, and by the way, our objective is for Glenn Youngkin to win the governor's seat, to win the lieutenant governor's seat, to win the attorney general's seat, to sweep. And I'm going to run around with a broom all summer and fall. We're going to sweep these offices, but also to bring 6 at least new delegates and take back our House, and to win Commonwealth attorney races and sheriff's races and supervisory board races and school board races across this great Commonwealth, supported by our Virginia Wins initiative, and to get Republicans to come together like they never have before. But that objective isn't a single strategy. We're going to have multiple strategies at work here. We're going to make big strides in Northern Virginia. We're going to win Virginia Beach. We're going to make big strides in Henrico and Chesterfield County. We're going to register voters all over the heartland of Virginia, and we're going to win this thing. Wallace, we're going to win this thing, and that's how we're going to get it done. But I agree with you. We have to go to work. One of the things that somebody said to me the other day, I was at an event, and they said, Glenn, you actually seem to be the only Republican candidate campaigning. And we have crisscrossed this great Commonwealth more than anybody else. We're meeting Republican voters and Virginians all over the place. And this is what it takes. This is what it takes to win. I am all in. I have 1 year on, and we are on. Our campaign is gaining so much ground and pulling ahead. And this is what it takes. It takes hard work. It takes commitment. It takes a huge team of volunteers and committed folks, and that's what's come around us. And we're going to go get this thing done. We're going to win in November. So thanks for that great question.
Glenn Youngkin is here today now. Glenn Youngkin, one of the questions I got here, and I'm not going to go to the phone call for it, but a gentleman wants to know, where can he get Youngkin bumper stickers? How can he get some bumper stickers for you?
Perfect. So if anybody wants bumper stickers, signs, T-shirts, hats, I believe this is such an important part of making sure that people feel like they are not only supporting me, but you're all part of our campaign. Come to our website. It's youngkinforgovernor.com, YOUNGKIN, Youngkin4FOR, governor.com. Come to the website, sign up to be a supporter. By the way, sign up to be a delegate when you get there, and then just send us a quick note. I'd love some bumper stickers and hats and a sign for my front yard. You can also send me an email, which is just Glenn, GLENN, at Youngkinforgovernor.com. Send us an email. We'll get you stuff, because this is so important for everybody across Virginia to understand that we're standing together for Glenn Youngkin for governor, and we're going to go get this done. So thanks for that.
If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Glenn Youngkin. He's a Republican. He would like to get the nod to be their nominee for governor, and that's who we're talking to today right here on AM 790 WNIS. Our next caller is going to be Ron. Hey, Ron, you're on WNIS. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to get your position on this mandatory, massive wind offshore development, and also your opinion on cultural teaching in our schools.
Thank you, Ron.
Great. Ron, two great questions. So first of all, the offshore wind program is moving forward, and it's part of something that's called the Virginia Clean Economy Act. And I will just tell you my view on power strategy and energy strategy in Virginia is that the Virginia Clean Economy Act has taken us in the wrong direction. We do need all of the above in Virginia. All of the above. Virginia's strategy, Virginia's plan right now laid out by our governor and everybody else, unfortunately, takes us in a direction that doesn't allow Virginia to actually meet the power demands that the rip-roaring economy that I'm going to build with all of your help and the jobs that we're going to create cannot be fully supported by this plan. On top of that, this plan actually shuts down all of our clean-burning natural gas. And by the way, it's the most clean-burning fuel that we have. It's America owns. We are energy independent, and we're trying so hard to actually give that away. So I believe on all of the above. Yes, we can have more wind and solar. Yes, we need more natural gas. Yes, we need to innovate and find ways to actually use coal resources cleanly, and some of that is absolutely happening. We need more nuclear. There are actually modular nuclear capabilities that we need to develop. All of these can actually combine to provide Virginia with both a stable and dependable and growing supply of power. I'll say finally, the plan that the Democrats have passed, which is really a Green New Deal for Virginia, unfortunately calls for the clearing, and we're going to require the clearing of 300,000 football fields worth of Virginia's beautiful landscape in order to build all of these wind and solar fields. Again, I'm for all of the above. I think we need all of it. But what we've seen happen in Texas is that when you are too reliant on wind and solar, everything crashes. Everything crashes. So we need a much more common sense approach here, much more common sense approach, as opposed to embracing a Green New Deal strategy that unfortunately burdens Virginia's families with extra cost, $800 to $1,000 per family per year of extra costs, and puts us on a path that will actually disadvantage Virginia and not work. So thank you for that great question. And this is something that we just have to rethink. And as a common sense governor, as a governor who believes that we have to come up with practical common sense solutions as opposed to unrealistic programs, that's the way I'm going to lead when I'm governor, and I just appreciate everybody's support on that.
WNIS, our next caller is Carol, calling in from Hampton. Hello, Carol. Thank you for your patience, and go ahead and talk to Mr. Youngkin.
Hi, Mr. Youngkin. My question has to do with religion. You have mentioned several times that you are a man of faith and a Christian, and I would like to know what denomination you are affiliated with, and I'd also like to know maybe an example or hear you talk about how you reconcile or balance your faith with politics.
All right.
Yeah. Carol, thank you. That is just such a meaningful question to ask this morning. So first of all, I attend a non-denominational church, and it just happens to be the church that we feel strongly about and feel at home, and have allowed us to have our faith at the center of raising our family, my marriage, and really my life. It's the cornerstone of my life. I start every day asking for help because I know that I don't have all the answers. And to think that I have all the answers is so inconsistent with my faith. And so I know where to go first every morning to ask for help, and then I'll come ask all of you for help along the way. I do believe that people who think they have all the answers are dangerous. Second of all, in reconciling my faith, there's nothing to reconcile. I start with my center of gravity, and it helps me be very consistent in the decisions that I make. And that gives me great confidence, but it also gives me great peace, that I know that I'm going to be a consistent decision maker, not one that flip-flops all over the place. I find people that flip-flop all over the place actually have a basic lack of foundation in their lives, and I don't believe I do. And so, Carol, I'm going to start every day when I'm governor the same way that I start every day now, which is in prayer, asking for help, and then I'm going to get to work. I'm going to get to work for Virginians, all Virginians, in order to do the best job I can, bringing forth all of the capabilities and training and experience and, oh, by the way, help that I'll have around me in order to do a job for Virginia that no governor has ever done. Like no governor. I'm going to work so hard and so smart, and we're going to develop a Virginia future that lifts her out of the ditch where she is right now and puts her back where she belongs, which is the best state in America to live and work and raise a family. Carol, thank you for that great question.
We're rapidly running out of time, so what I want you to do, Glenn Youngkin, is take about a minute. That's all the time I've got. If you take about a minute and just close the deal for the people listening to you right now, why should they support you, sir?
Tony, thank you, and thank you for having me. Friends, we have a big decision to make. It's who's going to represent the Republican Party in this governor's race. And I will humbly submit that there is no candidate prepared for this like me. My 30-year business career prepares me to actually lead in an executive function. This is not a legislative job. This is not a job you can take on unless you understand what it means to actually lead a big organization, organize a big organization to deliver results, set high expectations of what government should be able to deliver for Virginians, and to actually bring a fresh perspective that's not encumbered with efforts to win and back deals cut. I'm that person. I am a conservative. I'm a man of faith. I'm a successful business leader who knows how to build business and create jobs. I'm not encumbered by promises made or races lost. I haven't cut deals that I have to fulfill. I get to come to this office and do what's best for Virginia. And I would suggest there's nobody prepared for this job like me. I'll bring resources to bear that come from across our country and across the Commonwealth in order to make sure that we can fully compete with what we need to have in order to win against what is a very, very well-organized Democrat. And, oh, by the way, folks, I'll bring together the Republican Party like never before in order to accomplish all of this.
All right.
So I ask you to support me. Support me in the convention. Sign up to be a delegate in your local county or city and support me. And then I ask you to come out and lock arms with me, and let's go get this done, because we have an amazing opportunity in front of us to not only win the governor's seat, but the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, take back our House of Delegates, and then next year, as your governor, we will fix Virginia and get her moving in the right direction, and then we can take back 2 of our House of Representative seats, and the following year we can take back our Senate, and we can actually put Virginia on the path where she belongs, that she is not blue. We have shared values.
Mr. Youngkin, we're completely out of time. I just got to let you go. I got to get some commercials on. That is the law. Thank you for coming on today.
Tony, thank you for having me, and I wish you a blessed day.
All right. A pleasure to talk to you. Glenn Youngkin right there at AM 790 WNIS.